What's up, everybody? Today I have another scary story for you all. So last week, we told the tale about the time I ran into La Llorona, like a year ago. And at the end of that video, I said that I had another story, a story that my grandma told me when she was little. For a little bit of context, my grandma grew up in a rural area of Mexico. And at the time, there was a lot of legends and stories. The ones such as El Charro Negro. La Llorona was also making the rounds back then. But the story that I'm gonna tell you today, it's one a little bit different that not many people know about. And that is the story of the great dog of the rural area of Mexico. So this story begins when my grandma and a couple of my family and this went on for many months. They could not see the dog, so they just started to doubt the story even more because they could not see anything. They could not hear it, they could not see it, and obviously they did not go out at night because I think in part they kind of knew that maybe there was a bit of truth in the story, no? Because sometimes we, all as humans, like hear stories, but a part of our brain tells us, what if it's real, you know? So they did not went out at night. At any point, they just stayed on the window of the room because they all used to sleep in a big room because they were all 12 children. I don't know if I mentioned this. If I did, and I already forgot, I'm sorry. But my grandma was one of 12 children back in when she was little. So one of those nights they said, you know what, this is gonna be our last try. We're gonna stay up all night trying to see if we can find the dog. So what they did was they got out of the room at night and walked to the living room. And the living room has a big window looking outside to the street. And since my grandma's home is like in a little bit of like a mountain, the road is a little steep. Not too much, but it's kind of like tilted, let's say. So they moved the couch slowly and in silence, so my great grandparents could not hear them. They moved the couch to the window so they could climb up and see out of it. And so what happened was that they stayed there for a couple hours, my grandma said, and they got bored and said, you know what, the dog is not gonna appear again. So they all just gave up except for one of my grandma's brothers. And they all said, let's just go back to bed. It's not big deal. It's not gonna happen anything. If it hasn't happened in months, it's not gonna happen now. But this my great uncle, I think it said, decided to stay behind. He said, you know what, if you're gonna go back to sleep, I'm gonna make sure the dog is not real. So all of them just told him, all right, good night, have fun, because they thought he was probably not gonna see anything. So they left him behind and they all went back to bed. A couple of hours passed. My grandma said it was maybe like 4 or 5 a.m. when they started hearing like a big commotion, right? A lot of noise, a lot of like animal feet on the ground just scratching, and a lot of screaming. One of those screams was coming from my great grandma. So they just got all out of bed and ran to the entrance of the house. And when they got there, my grandma was the first because she's one of the youngest. So she was little, and so she ran in front of all of them. She got there, and the scene that unfolded in front of her, she said it was shocking to say the least. But when she got there, she saw my great grandma standing on the door screaming outside, and my great grandpa trying to get the dog, this huge dog, off him. He was trying to pull the dog, but the dog was not giving. So they just were screaming, and it was just like a fist fight. He did not have any guns or anything, so he was just trying to beat this huge dog, the size of like a maybe small horse, not like a pony, but like a bigger one, of my great uncle, on top of my great uncle. And so after that, my great grandma saw all her kids standing behind her, and turned to them and told them, just go back inside, just screaming like, go back inside, don't see this, get out of here. Your dad's gonna fix this, just go back to bed. And my grandma that was standing like in front of them was like scared at the sight of what was happening, because the story became real. And before this, I gotta say this, my grandma's brother, he was, as she describes him, he was a very cheerful kid, a very happy kid. I used to play a lot and have a lot of fun and talk a lot. But after that night, everything changed, but we'll get to it. So what happened later was that they just went back to the room reluctantly, and after a few minutes they could not hear anything. They did not know what happened. They didn't know if their brother was okay, if their dad was okay, or anything, because they could not hear any noise after that. So my grandma said that she was too scared, and at the end she ended up falling asleep. But the next morning they saw that everything was back to normal. Her brother was there, and all their siblings were also okay, but nobody said anything. They just carried on like it never happened. But after that day, he became very serious, very quiet, and he did not like to speak a lot. And even to this day, I've gone to my grandma's hometown, and I met this uncle of mine, and he's very quiet. And something that is very interesting is that his wife is the complete opposite of him. She's a very cheery, very happy person. She laughs a lot, and he is the complete opposite. After this happened, he is very serious. He doesn't talk a lot. And even to this day, if you go to his house and say hi to him, he's gonna tell you, "Hello, how's it going?" and everything outside of that, he does not have any conversations outside of that. It's kind of weird. And my grandma told us that after this happened, he dropped out of school. He no wanted to talk to anyone. He just started working on the fields with my great grandfather, and he changed forever after that point. My grandma said she does not know what happened after they went back to their rooms, but something in her brother changed forever. The story ends practically in that they don't know what happened to him. The next morning, everything went back to normal. Everything was acting normal, and obviously there was this huge elephant in the room, but nobody like addressed it. Nobody said anything after that, but they just all noticed the slow change on their like little brother. So yeah, this is something that not many people know about. I don't know if this is like a main story, like a mainstream story, like Mexican folklore or not. But this is one my grandma told us one day, and I can attest to this because, like I said before, this uncle is a very serious person. He does not speaks a lot. So yeah, I think there's like a little bit of truth on this, but I also think that because even because we don't see things like this, it doesn't mean they don't exist. Because I know my grandma would not lie to me about something like that. Maybe, I don't know if it's like for us to scare us, but we were all, my siblings and I were old enough at that point to know responsibilities and stuff, to not go out at night, maybe because it's dangerous. So I don't think it was because of that. Like I said before, maybe there's like a little bit of truth in each story. You can decide how true and how fake this is, but this is a story that comes from a loved one, you know. And yeah, I just wanted to tell you all about this because, like I said before, there's many channels out here like describing or telling stories, but I feel like none of them or most of them are like just telling you what it is, not like experiences and such. And I hope to bring a little bit of context to give you like a little bit more of that personal feel to it, because I always try to tell these stories as if it was like a campfire story. Usually it takes like 3 takes for me to get them right, because you know the way you tell them and stuff, it could get like a little bit more of structure and stuff. But hey, that's what it is, like, yeah, like a campfire story. So that's what the vibe I'm going for. But yeah, this was the story of the huge dog of the rural area of Mexico. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely have some more stories that my grandma has told me. Like I have like a witch's story from her that is very interesting. Maybe I could tell you that next week. I want to thank you for staying this late. I hope you find this story interesting. If you want to share with someone else, please go ahead and do it. I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I think that would be all for today. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.